Hello, welcome or welcome back. Today I wanted to share with you a little trick that I have learned as a writer that makes manifesting really easy. So that's what we're talking about today. Stick around. My name is Hedley Derenzie. I am a qualified life coach and author, and I'm super passionate about the amazing teachings of the law of assumption as originally taught by the great American mystic Neville Goddard. It is the stories that we tell that create our reality. So if you want to change any part of your reality, then you have to start by changing the story in consciousness first. And if you want to create the most amazing reality for yourself, then you need to know how to tell the most amazing stories and make the most amazing assumptions, so to speak. And that is where these teachings can really help. If you would like support with changing any story in your consciousness so that you can experience a different reality, I am available for one-to-one coaching. All those details are on my website. Also have a 21-day Set Yourself Up with the Ultimate Self-Concept course, which is the ultimate story we all need to be telling about ourselves. Or if you just want to stay connected, I am on Instagram. All of those details you will find in the comments box below, so check that out. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so today we are talking about a kind of a writer's trick that I have used in the past, not knowing that I was using it, which enabled me, again, unconsciously, to create the realities that I was writing about. And where the inspiration for this video came from is one of my wonderful coaching clients who I had a session with this morning was asking me a question on thinking of the end and thinking from the end and what the difference is. And she made the point about how, like, is it first person or third person? For some of you who may not know, I was an author for about 10 years. I've published about 6 books. I have a publisher. Some of those books are still available. And as a side note, I wrote all of those books prior to being really aware of the law of assumption, meaning I was writing about past experiences. And because I was writing about past experiences, now I understand why those experiences continued to repeat themselves in my life. So I was writing about relationships that I'd had, and I'm a memoirist basically. So I write from personal experience, and meaning I write from the experience that I've had in the past. I didn't realize that by writing about them and putting energy into them and then publishing books, that I was actually really giving them life and keeping them active. And some of these stories were not stories that I would necessarily want to repeat again. And this was happening a lot with my writing. And I thought there was just something wrong with me because I kept experiencing the same patterns, especially in relationships. And I could see other people who, they might have had some trauma in their past too, but I could see them moving on with life and getting on with relationships. And, they might have had some shitty ones in the past, but then they really turned things around for themselves. And then they, had families and all of this. Meanwhile, I felt like I was in this cycle of just repeating the same old, which explains why I was, because I was writing books about them. And most of the people I knew weren't having these experiences and then writing and spending 2 years on a book and writing about it and then publishing it and then doing talks in the media and book launches and all sorts of things, continuing to tell the story. If you've ever written a book, or even if you've just read a book, part of the process of publishing a book is the marketing, where you have to go on TV and you have to show up at events and you have to do launches and you have to do all of these things, and you get to tell the same story over and over and over. So I was doing all of this for years, and I only have complete self-compassion for myself because I had no idea of the power that I was wielding every time I sat down to write another book about my own experience. So one of the things that I did in that time was I thought, okay, shit, I really need to stop writing about myself because I just seem to keep creating the same experiences in my life. So I'm going to have a go at fiction. So I started writing fiction, and fiction for me was very much so, it's very common in fiction to write from third person. So just from a narrative perspective, you have the different perspectives in the writing. So first person is when you write as from your perspective. So I am going over here, I am doing this, blah, blah, blah. Second person is where you use the term you. So you're saying you went over there and you did this. Third person is she or he or they went over there and they or she or he did this. So you have the 3 different perspectives, and the most common in creative writing is first person and third person. So those non-fiction writers, such as memoirists or just non-fiction, tends to be written in first person, and a lot of fiction, especially the very successful fiction, not always, there's no rules, but a lot of fiction is written in third person. So the writer is essentially the narrator, and they have the kind of the point of view into all the characters. So they can jump out of one character and into another character, basically. So you will see both. If you're a reader, you will have read both. You will have read first person and third person. And as a memoirist, I was very much writing I was writing first person. And when I realized that there was something going on, but I didn't really understand what was happening, I thought, okay, I really need to stop this and I need to move into third person. But then what was interesting was, and I've shared this in another video, which I will link, is I started writing kind of like a romance fiction book in third person, and I created character breakdowns where I really described each of the qualities of each of the characters, and I would then write the story. Now, the same thing started to happen writing in third person as well, and I've shared an example about this where I wrote about a character in one of these books, and then literally this guy came and sat down next to me on the plane, and he was exactly what I had written as the character for the lead in this fictional story that I am writing. So there is power in both first person writing, narrative, and third person. And because I have experienced creating or manifesting realities using both, again, not realizing that that's what I was doing, because law of assumption works whether you're aware of it or not. So I was using my power. Like, you have this power whether you know it or not. And thankfully you guys know it. But every single person on the planet has the same power. We all have the power of imagination, and consciousness is the cause of reality for every single person, and it's getting pushed out and reflected back. And we're all in our own movies, and we're all experiencing our consciousness reflected on the screens of our minds at different, different levels of favorability. So when you don't know that you have this power, it's pretty easy to create shitty situations and just continue the old narratives over and over and over, not realizing you're the cause of it. So you just kind of live as a victim of what's happening outside of you. But then when you realize how this game works, then you can really start to use this power consciously and wisely and compassionately, because even when you know that you have this power and that you're the cause of your reality, you're still going to create situations that you don't mean to create, because that's the process of awakening, is that we are awakening to who we always were and who we've always been and who we always will be, which is God, which is imagination. So a lot of the old stories in consciousness have to come up. They have to come to the light, and we can see them, and then we can move on from them and overcome them. And that is what the process of awakening is. So you're still going to create shitty situations for yourself, but it's going to get less and less, and you're going to get better and better and more wiser in terms of what it is that you are doing with your consciousness. So you're not going to be creating the same kind of dramatic cycles that you might have created for yourself in the past. Certainly that's my experience, thank goodness, because I simply didn't know. I didn't know the power that I had, and I certainly didn't know how I was exercising it with every single book that I wrote. So one of the tricks that I wanted to give you with this video is, when you are working on something that you want to experience, so manifesting something into your life, I would suggest doing both, like coming at it from all angles, meaning coming at it from, and you can do all three angles really, meaning first person, second person, third person, but I would especially use the first person and the third person. So one of the things that I do when I'm manifesting is I'll create the narrative as if I'm living it. So I'm in this, let's say, I don't know, just for the sake of it, I'm driving this car, and I feel so comfortable, and the seats are leather, and I'm just, it's up high, and I'm feeling like I'll write the story. Obviously, I'll make it a bit more exciting than that, but I'll write it as from my perspective, so first person. However, one of the things that I also do is write it from the third person. So then I'll say, Hedley is stepping into the car, and she's opening the door, and then she's sitting into the soft leather seats, and she's just moving around. Because what happens when I write from third person as well, where I take myself out of the scene and I describe it, it gives a sense of, what's the word? Like I'm directing the scene. So it kind of gives a different perspective, and it enables me to see it from a different angle. Now, Neville will say, think from the end, not of the end. Now, third person is thinking of the end. But I just want to say there is a caveat. When you do first person and third person together, you're actually combining those perspectives, and it's just what you're doing is you're creating a fuller experience for yourself. So I would say don't necessarily just do third person. I would also make sure you're doing it from that first perspective, but then also marry it up with that third person. So first of all, write yourself in the scene, and then write the scene again as the observer. So you are essentially the director of your scene. You're the director of you in your own scene. So you're directing you as the main character in the scene and you're playing out what it is that you want to experience, because sometimes that can be easier than immediately putting yourself into the scene. And then you're just like a director and you're directing where you want to go, where you want your character to go, meaning you. I just find, certainly from my experience as a writer, that is a really powerful technique to kind of cover your experience from all directions. Again, you're doing all of this in imagination, but one of the things I do is I do write it out first on paper, and then I go into my mind and I play it out. And I sometimes have to work with it a few times before I'm really happy with how the scene plays out. Once I'm happy with the scene, I rehearse the scene over and over in my imagination until it's like embedded. And then once it's embedded, I'm like, okay, good, we're all good. And then if I think about it, I just play it out as I have rehearsed it many, many times, get on with my day. So I just wanted to share that little technique with you. Try it out. If it doesn't work for you, nothing lost. If it does, awesome. That's just another little tool to add to your toolkit. So please remember, you are the amazing creators of your reality. You are the superstar of your show. You are the producer, the writer, the director, and the actor in your movie. So what you assume to be true will be so. So assume the best for you and assume the best for everyone in your movie too, and you will have an amazing life. This is my wish for you. Thank you for listening. Please feel free to like, comment, and share this video. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, I would love to have you, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks. Bye.